Hey everyone, today I wanted to talk about how going through OCD and anxiety recovery creates the opportunity to be a better problem solver and why so many things in my life have improved because of how I have handled discomfort, how I solve problems in my life now, how I'm okay with being wrong, and why this is so important for success in your relationships and in your personal life, your career, and your business, anything, literally even the way you interact with family members, at holidays when hot political, religious, and money topics come up, or anything where people, I always use the big three, money, politics, and religion. It's where people can really have really rigid beliefs, and how being able to solve problems and move throughout scenarios in my life only came because of my experiences with OCD and severe chronic suffering for years. Before I go any further, please subscribe, hit that like button down below. Let me know what you think about these videos. Thank you for the support. Next milestone, 30,000 and 50,000 and 100,000, and the sky's the limit. I mean, who knows where we're gonna go with any of this. So it's really important for your support. It's really good for feedback, whether it's good or bad, whether we disagree. I respond, I try my best. I have a system. I respond to the 10 recent videos a couple times a day, and then whatever the 10 recent are in the 5 or 10 recent TikToks. So I try to stay very engaged with people in the community. I think it's a very good habit to have and shows people that we really care. And nobody Nobody comes close to the amount of content we upload. It's from the personal lived experience, working with thousands and thousands of people in every single time zone, and it's all because of you, and thank you for all of that. So, before I developed chronic OCD, I thought I was very tough mentally, but I wasn't. I was really bad at solving problems. If the problem did not fit my narrative on life, I would just say, I'm gonna do that, not for me, and then this is what people do. And then they say, I'm focused on a mission, but that's not actually accurate. So let's take the principles from a great book I just read by Jim Collins called Good to Great, which he calls the Hedgehog Concept, which is having basically your vision, your why, and sticking with that. That is the same thing as I just said, but their approach is different. So maybe they get approached in a big business and they say, you know what, I see where you're coming from. I thought about that. I don't think we're going to integrate it into what we do, versus, nah, dog, that ain't for me. Screw you. That's a very behaviorally childish response. And I did this. I'm talking about myself. Metaphorically, I did this my entire life. And I realized that I didn't want to live my life like that anymore, neither with anger. And I set myself some very serious goals. No matter what anyone said to me in my life, I wanted to be open-minded enough to understand acceptance doesn't mean agreement, and still take on what they say, whether I apply it or not. And that took a lot of constant, continuous practice day in and day out. And I did not get it right off the bat every single time. I failed a lot for a very, very, very long time, but it came together to where I am today, where I would say my problem-solving skills aren't world-renowned, but they're really good. And I still make mistakes, but I don't really have any analysis paralysis anymore because I've gotten comfortable with making decisions with the possibility of being incorrect, which is what causes so many people to not succeed in their life in all factors, personal, relationships, business, everything, anything like I said. So what are things where I would say I've improved my problem-solving skills on? Let's say working with OCD is not easy. It's very tough. I was a very hard person to work with. I had a lot of attitude and a lot of anger. I'm surprised Rob kept me around. I used to hang up on him. I used to tell him, fuck you. It was really bad. Then I'd have emergency calls and I would apologize. I mean, it was wild. No wonder why the people in the mental hospital diagnosed me with bipolar, because I was so boom, 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 boom. Just the way my beliefs are, my personality, etc., and more than likely innate genetics. So if I have something that requires tough love, I can make that, I can get in there quick. That comes from experience of working with thousands of people over the years, all the content, all the one-to-ones, all the webinars. I mean, just in the last, 4 years, I've done 200 plus webinars, probably more than that when we do some Tuesdays and Fridays. And it's tough. You're dealing with different people. If we have a webinar with 100 people, sometimes there's 40, 50 different countries in there. That's 40, 50 different personal perspectives on religion. Because remember, you could take Christianity for an example and have different denominations about Christianity. And it's difficult. Different skin color, beliefs, religion, monetary income. Maybe these families are worth $100 million. Maybe they come from poverty. And you have to be able to know how to solve those problems in the moment. That requires having analysis paralysis absolutely removed from your life. Take my relationship with my wife. I never wanted to have quote unquote hard conversations. So you hear a lot of people like maybe the Brene Browns of the world, the Glennon Doyles, where although we don't see eye to eye on many things, I think the concepts of hard conversations, what they speak about, is very, very important. Because you're not going to agree with anyone anyway. I mean, take the way I live my life. I don't believe in being a victim at all, no matter what's happened to me. I don't care the fact that... It's not that I don't care, because you see how easy it is, it flies off our tongue. We don't even think about it. Of course I care. It just doesn't bother me anymore. This is why it's so easy to just flip that. I don't care, I don't care. But I don't think about the fact that I had a really severe time with OCD, or that my father died in front of me, or that I lost my aunt, and then my dog, all in a 3-month period, that I got hit with $60,000 in medical bills with no insurance between a 2-week gap. Then I had to move across the country, and it cost me another $15,000. And I was completely in debt when I graduated school with no money at all and no income. So I could have easily went down that route, and I did do that, but I did not want to live my life like that anymore. The people that make the biggest changes in their life are the ones that decide, I will do anything to change my beliefs. And then that becomes compulsive. And so now when me and my wife have a discussion and there's something we don't agree on, my only goal is to see it from her point of view and try to understand, which doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to agree with her. And that is where the principles of having hard conversations really comes in. If you don't practice vulnerability, if you don't practice keeping a cool, collected attitude, even when your internal is screaming, oh my God, yell at them, they're an idiot, they're a moron. Do you have any idea how many times this flew out of my mouth in my life? You're a fucking idiot. So many times. I had zero control over my emotions. I was completely rigid when it came to conditional other acceptance. And again, I did not want to live my life like that anymore. I wanted to get better at my emotional range. I wanted to get better. Remember, I say to talk about the pendulum. People always laugh when I do this. Think about the pendulum swinging. Most people their pendulums are like this. All sorts of extremes. I have all those same range of emotions and belief systems, but now my pendulum is very, very moderated. So instead of, I hate that person, they're the worst person ever, it's, I really don't like what they do. I see where they're coming from, but I can kind of come back to baseline. Wow, I feel really good doing this. It makes me feel happy. Oh my God, this is the best feeling ever. Oh my God, I never want to lose this. Like I didn't want to live my life like that anymore. The strong emotional range is the problem. Here comes Daisy. She's going to want me to open the door for her. So I'm going to have to bring this with me while I open the door. Might as well do it now. This is another one. This is a good example of problem solving right here, where people have stuff like this happen. Here she goes. And it will interrupt something that they do, and they get really, really rigid about that. Oh my God, this is the worst thing ever. I can't take it. Come on, boo-boo. And then boom. So a lot of people have a hard time handling those type of changes when they're doing things in their life like that. Again, problem solving. I did not want to live my life like that anymore. I did not want video interruptions or people having different beliefs from me. I did not want that to be a determining factor in my chronic emotional disturbance. I wanted to feel that discomfort. Like when she jumped off the couch in my mind, I'm like, oh, here she goes again at the most inopportune times. But I didn't want to go, oh, come on, like have to restart the video and getting it perfected and stuff like that. I've never, maybe not never, less than 0.5%. Out of all the thousands of pieces of content I've made, I hardly ever restart anything. No matter, unless something catastrophic happens, because that's not real. That's not the way the world is. It's good to show people the reality of life. You're shown too much perfection. You're shown too much, oh, this person looks like they have no problems in their life. I always say, if we have a podcast, there will be 0 second takes. None. The second we start, unless something catastrophic happens, that is how it's going out. No ifs, ands, or buts, no cutting, no anything. I do not believe in that. I think it's a horrible way to live your life. And it just perpetuates this idea of, and then people we can disagree on that. Where they're like, what about movies? Well, understandable. Box office movies have millions and millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars of budgets. And they want to try to get it right to make the movie. But I'm making a content video talking about my ability to solve problems and what I see in the YouTube groups. I don't think that needs second or third tapes. So again, it's a case-by-case scenario. Another thing I've gotten really good at problem solving are problems in my business and my career. I took a lot of shortcuts and I didn't want to do that anymore. I wanted to do things the right way. I have a Charlie Munger quote on my desk that says, things are finished when they're seen through. And I stopped short at the finish line of many things in my life, and I didn't want to do that anymore. I wanted to see problems through. I wanted to solve them, not in an OCD sense in your mind where you're ruminating. I wanted to make a decision, see what I thought was right from a pros and cons list, decrease analysis paralysis, and accepting I could be wrong. All of this has come from my extreme suffering. If I did not have sensory motor, thigh dysmorphia, GAD and panic, other flavors in there of some harm and stuff, even though those weren't the big things, I'm not the shame and guilt guy. I know everything about it, but it wasn't the number one personal experience I had. Trust me, I definitely had a lot of guilt. Not chronically, but those uncomfortable emotions by the way I treated Erica. Another problem solving. This is why chronic guilt serves no purpose. Not that you can just turn it off, but once you start to break your beliefs down. If I wanted to be a good problem solver, I need to work on my beliefs to where they weren't rigid with conditional self-acceptance. So the chances of chronic guilt and shame went down so I could take those things and solve those moving forward. And that's how I did. So think about how to be a better problem solving, pros and cons list, wearing discomfort, making decisions in a timely fashion. And I'll leave you with a really good quote. If any of you guys know, I think it's Pena is how you pronounce his last name. He's a wild guy. Dan Pena, P-E-N-A. He was asked in a super rigid guy, but great, screaming and yelling, calling people fucking losers like Gary Vee and David Goggins. Anyway, they still, if you take away their tone, they have very good undertone in what they're saying. The guy asked him, how long does it take for you to make a decision? He said 60 seconds. And he's like, even a $100 million deal, 60 seconds. He's like, because you could spend your whole life working on it. I'd rather make a decision with the knowledge I have now in a timely fashion and accept I could be wrong. Because even if I'm wrong, I can learn from that. That doesn't work one-to-one ratio with everything, but the principle has good, there's a lot of validity in that. Thank you again, Phil at OCDrecovery.com. Hope to hear from you soon. As always, thank you for all the support and hope to see you at the one-to-one and the webinar. The webinars are amazing. If you haven't been to one, they are great. Not just because I run them, but because the community behind them is incredible. They really are an incredible service. So thank you again for all the support and enjoy the rest of your day.